Okay, perfect.
I call the April 15th, 2025 regular board meeting of Glencoe Park District to order. Lisa, please call the roll and state the time.
7 p.m. Commissioner Boren.
Yes.
Mr. Colby is just running a little bit late. Commissioner Spector.
Here.
President Spain.
Here. Consent agenda items A through I are routine or discussed at committee. Does any commissioner want any item pulled from the consent agenda items? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Boren.
Yes.
Commissioner Spector.
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes. Okay. All right. Hi, Nicole. And Michael's here.
Oh my gosh.
Excellent.
You beat the GPS.
Excellent.
Wow.
All right. I think we can move on to past matters from the public. Okay. Now on to public hearing 2025-2026 budget and appropriation ordinance number 972. The Budget and Appropriations Ordinance, or the BAO, has been on public display for the required 30-day period. I declare this public hearing open to discuss the BAO. Lisa, would you please give a brief summary?
I'm turning over John.
Thank you, Lisa, President Spain. So the BAO supports the both the first draft and approval draft that were discussed at the February and March committee meetings respectively. Again, this gives us our legal authority to spend money required to be submitted to the county clerk's office by the end of May. So we're well ahead of that. So assuming it's approved tonight, we'll get that submitted to the county clerk likely this week and be set for another fiscal year.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Members of the public were able to email our phone-in comments on the BAO. Have we received any
No, we have
public
not.
comments? Okay. If any members of the public would like to comment on the BAO, please do so now. Okay. I declare this public hearing closed. All right. Moving forward to approval of ordinance number 972, an ordinance making a combined annual budget and appropriation of funds for Glencoe Park District for fiscal year beginning March 1st, 2025. I entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 972, an ordinance making a combined annual budget and appropriation of funds for Glencoe Park District for fiscal year beginning March 1st, 2025 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Boren.
Yes.
Commissioner Colby. Commissioner Spector.
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes. All right. Motion passes. Okay. Onward to the financial report. John, would you like to present?
Sure. Really not a whole lot this month. This is obviously the first month of our fiscal year. The numbers are still shaking themselves out in terms of some accruals that were being booked for our audit, which is I'm still in fiscal year 25 mode because our auditors are here this week. So we're looking to get that all wrapped up. So focusing more on that is going well so far. The auditors were on site today and working through field work. Brian's done a great job getting prepared for that. So we're hoping to get that process wrapped up shortly. And then again, shift gears to fiscal 26. Again, based on the initial month of cash basis activity here, it doesn't, there's nothing really that we wanted to point out here tonight, but be happy to answer any questions.
Have you seen any price increases yet for anything that's not, I guess, our large capital projects related?
Yeah, operating, we have not yet.
Okay.
Certainly keeping an eye on it, but nothing notable in terms of, directly tariff or directly, market related from an operating standpoint.
Okay. And has the market volatility impacted our investments much at all or not? 'Cause
Not
it's
much
like
at all.
short
Not
term.
much at all. Yeah, we're primarily in, safe CDs,
Mhm.
diversified across several banks with FDIC coverage. So minimal disruption from that standpoint. Interest rates are still very strong, more well diversified, certainly prudent with the investment of the district's dollars.
Thank you. Any other questions for John? Okay, we can move ahead then to the Weinberg Ice Rink report.
Great. I'd like to introduce Shannon Stevens, our beach and ice rink manager. She's going to be doing the presentation tonight. Just want to thank her and her team for an incredible job for another very successful ice rink season.
The same rules.
Future considerations. Oh, I was really hoping to get away with that. So season planning, our season started with marketing in June. So coming up here shortly. We started with a postcard working with Aaron to send out to community members to get the buzz out about the rink. And then we moved into the winter brochure. From there, we created some social media posts as well as partnered with Aaron on a park perspective to really highlight the awesome amenities that we offer at our ice rink. And then registration opened on October 17th, and with about the first 3 weeks, we sold 321 passes. While all that is going on, we are hiring staff and training them. Our staff is made up of managers and Zamboni drivers, as well as cashiers, skate guards, and rental attendants. And then while all that's going on, we're sharpening our over 250 pairs of rentals that we have in-house. And then the most important part of prep is the ice making. So it's about 2 to 3 days of ice making. This year, the parks department came in overnight and they laid water while the sun was down. And then once it's sturdy enough so the Zamboni could get out, my staff take over and we continue to make ice until we open. While all that's going on, they are also checking our systems, making sure our compressors and cooling systems work, boards are clean, our Zamboni blade sharpening service is scheduled, as well as propane delivery. And then this year we added new netting around the studio net to help protect pucks from flyaway if they take a wacky shot at the cross, whatever. So our rink opened November 29th, and we went until about February 23rd. We were scheduled to, but with favorable weather, we were able to extend until March 2nd, and in that we were open 7 days a week. Some different activities that we offer are open skate, open hockey, skating and hockey classes, open broom ball, private rentals, as well as special events. And then we have two options for people to come visit us. So we offer the season pass model. Residents, it's $66. For non-residents, it's $132. And they have the option to purchase a 5-visit guest pass. If you do not want that, we also offer daily admission Monday through Friday. It's $12 for residents and $20 for non-residents, and then they could get their skate rentals. If we take a look at our season pass sales, we did see a slight decrease from last year, but the average amount over the last 3 years is around 1,500 passes. This year during our most popular week of winter break, we unfortunately had a lot of rain. So we did not see a lot of people coming out to the rink during that time. And then if you look back to last year, there was a lot of excitement about our new facility. So a lot of people coming out and skating. For our average pass visits, we are seeing that increase, which is really amazing because that means people who are getting the passes are coming more often and visiting us. Passes are made up about 2/3 of residents, and then looking over at the age breakdown, we see that age range 0 to 18 is another 2/3 of people who are coming to the rink. So really those families are coming out and skating with us. For daily admission, we did see a slight decrease in admission and visits this year. And like I said, during that winter break, when we see everyone coming out, we had a lot of rain, so we weren't seeing as many people visiting us. Taking a look back at the last 3 years of data, we're really starting to see consistent numbers with our annual attendance. So just with the visits and sales, everyone is enjoying the awesome amenities we offer at the ice rink. Highlighting on our average visits by day, our weekends still tend to be our most popular days. So people who are pass holders are really coming out on those Sundays and Saturdays. Now we jump over to our ice rink programming. At the ice rink, we do offer only basic level classes. The advanced participants really tend to stick to those year-round facilities. So we offer top basic classes as well as basic. Over the last few years, we have seen that decrease in enrollment in our basic classes. Usually we'll tend to see more people coming out and participating with us when, the the Winter Olympics is going on, or the Blackhawks are doing really well. Unfortunately, they have not done well the last couple of years, so I'm going to blame that on them. But to be more efficient with our labor costs, we actually only offered 2 day classes. So we offer classes on Thursdays and Saturdays compared to Wednesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And that's just to be more efficient, really, maximizing enrollment on the days that we did offer and using our staff resources wisely. For facility rentals, these rental revenues are in line with that 5 to 10% increase in cost. We've seen less demand for that 5:30 to 8 p.m. time slot with our permanent renters. So if you look at that main rink rentals, you do see it continue to go down. However, if that ice is not booked, we were able to convert it back to open skate and or open hockey so we could get more people in the facility skating. Some really amazing events we offered this year. Opening day was free to everyone. And then we had our Welcome to Winter for the first time to really kick off the rink season. Family skate nights, and then some non-rink hosted events where the skate and create as well as visit with Santa. If you look at our early season, December to January, they were lower attended just due to weather, whether it was rain or it was freezing cold on January 20th and no one wanted to come out. But then you flip to February, we had very well attended events with, Glow Skate being our most popular year over year. For our financial comparisons, we continue to see our expenses rise. This year, we had some repairs in our compressor and cooling, so we saw that in our expenditures. But overall, our total revenue for the last 3 years really is starting to be consistent with those guaranteed revenue upfront with the pass sales. If we take a look back to 2019 and 2020, you see we heavily relied on those daily admissions. So if we didn't have favorable weather, people weren't turning up. For our skating classes, we hope to stay in that range of $25,000 to $20,000 of revenue. For our survey, this year we sent out our end of season survey, but only had about 42 responses. But looking at the overall experience, people were generally happy with what went on at the rink this year and everything a part of it. Jumping forward to the value of the ice pass, people still feel there is value in their pass. Around 80% of people feel that it was good or better. And then amenities are in line. They felt similar about it last year, as well as the rink staff. Our ratings are in line with last year, but we do have some room for growth. For future considerations, we're looking at the end of the impacts of minimum wage. We no longer have that $1.50 raise, so we'll kind of see the increase is gradual instead of that big jump. The significant costs associated with the compressors and the cooling systems that are coming to their end of their useful life, as well as just monitoring utility expenses with the new facility. Any questions?
Yeah, Shannon,
Yes.
for 21, 22, can you remind me, was there still like a COVID bump from people wanting the outdoors?
Yeah, that's that winter, I believe, if I'm thinking right, we only had outdoor programming.
And,
Correct.
and did
Mhm.
we, when, I'm sorry if I'm mixed, because I know we changed the beach pass model around then. For Weinberg, like, is there comparable pre-COVID data and how like, are we kind of reverting to a norm, do you think? Or is it just there is no norm?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know if there's a norm anymore. But for skating classes, I do think we did see very low enrollment. I know Adam could probably speak to it because he oversaw it. But we saw that really high demand in outdoor programming with COVID and so we continue to see that fall off. And then with pass sales as well, during those 2 years of COVID, we did have pass holders only. We did not have any daily admission models. So those numbers really spiked. They're skewed that way. So I think over the last 3 years, we're seeing that data kind of taper out and really even out so we could get good data to analyze. I hope that answers.
Stephanie, do you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say the numbers are still, if I recall correctly, higher
Mhm.
now than they were even pre-COVID. So we're still at a good, same with the beach too, like, right?
Correct.
Still up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, for this facility, it's amazing because both this and the beach are usually like, we spend more than we
Yes.
bring in. And at least we're, breaking even some years, which is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, are we comfortable kind of where we are? I know you spoke to the end about, minimum wage going up, some of the maintenance costs
Mhm.
being higher. Yeah, we want to have a competitive and affordable
Yeah.
package and one that makes sense for daily passes, and everything.
Yeah.
Just kind of given where the expenditures are exceeding revenues, is that something that we're comfortable with? We feel like it fits into our budget with the property tax receipts we're receiving. Any thoughts?
Bobby, you want to take this one or again?
Sure. So obviously minimum wage has gone up pretty significantly since 2019. So this year we're not seeing that 7 to 10% increase. We're seeing probably more like a 3% increase in those labor expenses. When I ran the rink a long time ago, we were at about $150,000 deficit. So we've actually been able to do a really good job of growing revenue and keeping those expenses under control. And some years I think the impact is more that there's a large capital replacement, so like maybe a $15,000 or $20,000 repair to the ring systems, and that can really knock out the budget. I think our goal for the next little bit is to try to keep that revenue growing in line with what the expense and try to keep that deficit steady. That will be the long-term goal, and that's kind of what we've been working on over the last 8 to 10 years.
So like on a recurring revenue, recurring expenditure basis, we're in good shape.
We're pretty consistent, yeah.
And in our categories of service, we're meeting those goals.
We are.
Can you remind us? So I know when we redid the facility, we knew there was equipment we weren't replacing.
Correct.
Remind me what that was, but there also was something in the budget last year, correct? We did replace something there.
We did a lot of work to the boards got replaced.
Hmm.
That was a major item that had failed. We still had conversations about the longer term capital planning of the floor and the compressor room. The system itself is actually out of date. They don't produce the material that goes into refrigerant now for that system. So it is something we have in our long-term capital plan. I don't know, Kyle, if you want to talk to it more. I think it's in the 5 to 10 year.
Yeah, I think we have it called out at the tail end of this current 5-year capital improvement plan. And as Bobby indicated, it's the cooling floor, the compressors, the cooling tower, as well as the control system for the ice rink. So really all the mechanicals that cool those slabs, which is now a 25-year-old system. So we'll see, ongoing maintenance costs related to that until we get to the point of replacement.
So do those come out of a different, like a capital projects or improvements budget instead of the ice rink budget? How does that fit into the finances?
John?
Those would be paid out of Fund 69. So
Okay.
the transfer that's coming from either the rec fund or the.
So that would show up as in the deficit that is showing up.
Correct. Yeah, that will not be.
There
reflected.
is some expenses though. For example, like if there was a repair to the rink
Exactly.
floor this year, I think there was an expense. I don't know what it was, $10,000-$15,000. That will hit the operating budget. So if there's those kind of, or we purchased some R22, I believe this year, that hit
Correct.
the operating budget. But some of those large, if we were to replace the Zamboni, that would not come out of the operating budget. That would likely come out of a Fund 65 or Fund 69.
So the major replacement of the cooling floor will come out of capital projects budget 69, correct?
69.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions?
I think, obviously the Blackhawks actually does, believe it or not, have a big impact. You're seeing a decline in hockey kind of all over the skating. You're seeing a lot of the, I think Wilmette folded its girls team. You saw consolidation of teams here and there. So I think what's smart for us to think about is Weinberg as a total, as opposed to just Weinberg as ice. And we invested quite a bit in it. And so thinking about how do we optimize those rooms on top, party rooms, events, fall, can we use it for s'mores nights with the fire pits, like things like that. I think until the Blackhawks get better, quite frankly, and it's no joke, I think And until hockey kind of has a little bit of a resurgence, it may be tough for
You're-
to look at it, to isolate it just to the ice rink.
You're absolutely right. This report is only on the ice
Yeah.
rink,
Mhm.
but the total utilization of Weinberg has increased probably
Oh.
Yeah.
5X.
5X.
Yeah.
So we'll give a report on that in the coming months of the whole Weinberg general after-school program, which is bursting out of steam. It's the special events we do there. We're doing a pickleball social. We're now using the both rinks year-round as opposed to just seasonally.
Right.
So you're exactly right. We have seen that increase of the whole use of the building based on the construction. So you're exactly right. This was only based on the ice rink operations, but the whole building itself is being much more utilized.
Yeah.
And Shannon, this didn't include South School or Kids Club. or
No,
any of those
none of those
usages, which
numbers,
are
no,
pretty
yeah.
frequent.
Yeah. And that's one of the best things. That's one of a great partnership with the school district, you're right? I mean, it's a rite of passage. Kids learn how to skate. They actually take our skating lessons so that they can learn to go to
Yeah.
that during the school day. And our kids club gets that benefit of having that outdoor
Yeah.
recreation during their day. So
Yeah.
there's
We
all
have-
these intangibles that are a part of it.
A lot of groups that use, we have Belugas Come and Skate as well as South School, West
Yep.
School and Central School. So we see those kids quite often during the
The sample
season.
size of one, I don't think my kid would be playing hockey if it weren't for what
Yeah.
her experiences were at South School and with your hockey lessons. But I'm kind of wondering, just going forward, if it's even, and something just to ponder, just to let sit in your head, whether we should even look at Watts or Weinberg, excuse me, as a hockey rink facility on its own, because I do think you've done a really good job at transitioning Weinberg from Hockey Kids Club to sort of 365-day a year experience. So
Okay.
just something to think about. whether
We
you
can
guys-
absolutely roll the whole facility into a report if the board would prefer that. We just like to focus on the ice rink because that is
It's the draw.
it goes, well, it's its own category because there is categories of service. It is a loss.
Yeah.
And we want to make, the board understands that we know that this is going to lose money or break even if we're lucky
Yeah.
on really good years. So we just want to make sure that's forefront. And it's a facility that's unique to
Mhm.
Park District, so we just want to emphasize that. But
Yeah.
we'll also emphasize the other ones in whatever format we're going to do it on. So,
Yeah. And I just wanted to highlight too, that I just think that like with the school services, for example, that's something that's not revenue producing, but it's really that public service
yes,
element of
Yep.
it. And it's really a service to the community at large. And there's
Yep.
a lot of benefit to having the facility that wasn't necessarily
Yep.
showing up
absolutely, I
as
agree.
as a revenue item. A great season. It was wonderful. Thank you for all the work you did.
But we'll make sure we add that to our report next year because that's a good point of all the community goodwill because we have
I think
a
we
lot
wanna
of
show the public.
non-for-profits use it also for their special events, the library. Yeah, so we'll make sure we add those to the report
Yeah.
next year. That's a good point.
The attendance
Yeah.
overall was
Mhm.
well used.
And pickleball too.
And
Pickleball's great. Pickleball and deck hockey, it's already in. So.
Did you see I don't know if anybody saw it on social media where they're doing pickleball on ice?
Yeah, I did see that.
It's
Yeah.
It
dangerous.
was kind of a joke, but yeah, they were doing pickleball on ice. I'm like, oh, we should try that one day. No, maybe not. Thank you. Thank you, Shannon, for a
Thank you.
great
Thank
season.
you.
So you did a good job. Nice job.
Next, we're moving on to the executive director report.
Excellent, thank you. So the April midterm elections were conducted, and we have 3 new park commissioners, which will be sworn in on May 20th. So our new commissioners are Jackie, Gary, and Nicole. I see Nicole's here, so thank you. They have been going through training for the last 3 months for at least 2 hours at a time. So we appreciate their involvement and getting them up to speed so that when they are sworn in, they will be ready to go because we have a lot of big projects. And so last week we spoke a lot about the projects that the board's voting on tonight. So they are all briefed on that. Bobby and I will be attending the IAPD Parks Day in the Capitol. So we'll have a table. We do it in conjunction with Northbrook and kind of really look at all our partnerships that we work together. So Erin's been very very instrumental in developing our booth for that. So thank you, Erin. And then we also, there's a legislative reception and a conference, and we go talk to our legislators. I'm very happy to say that it's official that the bill that Representative Katz-Moll has now officially become a non-legislative subcommittee of IDNR's Water Task Force. We personally love that because then we can teach and educate all the great things we're doing for equity and bringing people in the community at lower cost. So that's a win-win for all of us. And we'll be working with other North Shore directors that are on the lake on that committee. So I'll keep you apprised. Congratulations to John and Brian in the whole district for the JFOA Certificate of Achievement. So excellence in financial reporting. So we don't take that lightly, and that's a great achievement that we received for what is this, the second or third year in a row?
Third year.
Third year. So kudos to him. So it's a lot of paperwork to apply. So we appreciate his time on that. Really quick, I'm just going to turn it over to, you talked a little bit about the audits. Anything else to update on the audit?
Yeah, so again, they're just out for field work, which is the main part of the audit really this week. And then we're anticipating on having a draft middle of next month. And then there's some review stage, and we update some additional schedules for the annual comprehensive financial report and the GFOA submission, and planning on hopefully presenting the audit then at the June board meeting. So.
Great, thank you. Kyle, do you want to talk about pickleball installation at Weinberg?
Sure. So the seasonal pickleball courts went down yesterday at Weinberg. By Friday, staff will install the nets as well as benches and other site amenities. I believe the plan is to open Monday next week, and I think we have an event Bobby might want to speak to.
Sure, I can speak to it. So we have a pickleball social. We got 45 adults signed up for it at this point, which is really exciting. Kind of kicking off the pickleball season at Weinberg, another out of season use for it. So we're very excited. That's the first time we've done an adult event like that. So very exciting.
Yeah. Andrew's doing a great job planning. I don't know if you remember, and this is probably 2 years ago, and our employee survey came back. It'd be like really nice to have a rest. We call it a rest and relax room, someplace where staff can go just sit really by themselves and recharge. The room is finally done. Kudos to the team for finding a space for it. It's in our old survey room. If anybody wants to see it on your way out tonight, we'd be happy to show you. And it's finally come together. So we're very proud of that initiative getting put through. Bobby, you want to talk about?
And talking about the fitness, we put
Yes.
some additional statistics in
you.
the board packet this month. As you know, the board made some suggestions of expanding the hours on Saturdays and Sundays. So we expanded from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we just added some statistics, and it's getting some traction. And we're looking to keep that open for the summer too. So we'll keep you in the loop on what those enrollments, but it looks like people are enjoying the fitness center in those afternoons of the weekend. And additionally, the Take-If Center is getting more programming, and we're doing more later in the day. So it's a win-win for the community.
Thrilled with that. I'm also thrilled to say that I think hiring for our seasonal staff is getting back to pre-COVID. We are almost fully hired for the summer, and that's always our goal is before spring break. And be honest, since COVID, it's been really hard to achieve that, and they're back to that. So we're thrilled with that. So
Good to hear. I will say it is just fascinating. I don't use the gym as much as I used to because I think like a lot of residents, I'm back in the office 5 days a week. But when I do go on the weekends and I do go in the afternoon, there's always like 5 or 6 people there.
Yep.
I think I see more people there between the hours of 2 and 5 p.m. than I did on average beforehand. So I do think it's good to know the numbers are there, and I think it is a nice benefit. So appreciate the efforts to keep that open.
yeah, we're thrilled with that. Erin, do you want to speak to some of the things you're doing?
Yeah, actually, our run clubs kicked off on Saturday. We had 30 adults, which is awesome.
Great.
So our adult programming is really picking up between Pickleball Social and this. It's great numbers. We did a series of videos with our part-time staff who's leading it, and that's been very exciting and well received. And we are planning to put some more signage maybe along our park trails and stuff, just to get more runners and walkers involved. In addition, Shannon and I are working on some safety videos for our boaters, kind of explaining more of what our services are and our expectations for the boaters, like don't go out without a float plan. Just so it's clear once we start the season for everyone who uses a boat. And then my little project, our online store is getting ready to launch. And we have a variety of really cool stuff, Glencoe Beach merchandise, as well as Kids Club t-shirts. And for the Children's Circle kids, different animals for the different classrooms. There's also different colors and stuff available. So you don't have to get this in orange. You can get it in pink or blue. Even our little jellyfish.
Adorable.
And then there's all sorts of other things available as well. It's all print on demand. You can come see it later. I don't have to show everyone. So there's no cost to us and we just get the proceeds from it. It's all online available.
So it's really cool. So people could just order when they want. So it's not a lot of staff time besides developing the great merchandise. But we've heard from our residents when they see some of our cool staff shirts or things and they want to they want to be part of that. They want to show off their pride in their classrooms and things like that. So
I would love to see those for sale, honestly, at the beach. Like I could see
Like
people and towels at the beach when people forget their towels or things like that. Like I didn't realize you had that, but that Glencoe Beach t-shirt, I could actually see people, if you had like 10 of them down there, just to see if there's a market for it down there. Obviously you have to collect the cash or collect the things, which is kind of hard, but
We're working on how to do it. We were thinking of having a display QR code, perhaps.
oh yeah.
it's kind of hard to buy inventory enough to keep at the beach and then
Right.
it goes
Yeah.
to waste. So that's why this on the in-demand store is perfect. So we don't
It's really
have to
cool.
expend a
Yeah.
lot of money if something doesn't hit. So
Yeah.
And not having to keep track of sizes.
yeah,
Right.
it's kind of, it's more, we did that before with t-shirts that we sold and it was really hard keeping track. You paid a lot of extra. So,
Yeah.
but kudos to you. I want to say 30 people at a first time run walk club is amazing. And it's our part-time instructor. He's just a marathon runner. His personality is great. Afterwards, he's making everybody smoothies. Just so that's kind of employees that we have that really, they come with us this idea and they're like, I want to do this. And it really went over well. So kudos to everybody in the pickleball social. Should be fun. So is there any other questions in my report? Thank you.
Now I see some members of the public have joined our meeting. Is anyone here to talk about Milton Park or the park maintenance facility? You are?
Yeah, sure. Come on up.
Yeah, I think I just curious, we're gonna be discussing Milton and then the maintenance facility. Are you here just for Milton? Okay, so I think what we're gonna have is, I don't know, Kyle, I think you had some remarks and then I'll ask you to come up and provide some comment.
You have a brief presentation I'll pull up. And then...
Okay, great, thank you.
So as you know, while he's pulling that up, the board has had several meetings talking about Milton Park and whether we should leave it natural space or playground or put a new playground in the existing footprint. Came back and the board moved on putting a playground in. So we then brought playground design options to the board. The board asked us to do a survey to the community to see what the community wanted for that. So we put it out to anybody who attended the meetings in the past, put it in the lobby, sent it out to the neighbors, things like that to get feedback. So, well.
All right, thank you. Well, you took all of my first slides, so I'll move on to slide 2. So
Again, you just.
Lisa walked through really the timeline here that led us to tonight. So as Lisa indicated, we did release a survey to the general public on April 2nd, which closed on April 9th. Survey really asked 3 straightforward questions regarding the 2 concept options. With question number 1, it was, what is your favorite playground layout? There was a 74% favoring the nature-inspired or concept B woodland playground. When asked what your favorite play structure is, 78% of the 186 respondents favored the nature-inspired or woodland playground, concept B. And then when asked if you would prefer an expanded swing set to include that friendship swing, which would result in a slightly larger footprint? Or would you prefer a smaller swing with no larger footprint expansion? There was a 67% preferring the expanded swing set. The survey also included an area for comments from survey takers, and that information was forwarded to the board along with comments from neighbors and emails that were received. So just want to touch on a few of the key points that came out of comments, both from the survey and from neighbors, just to clarify and make sure everyone's on the same page with a few items. So first regarding footprint, so Milton Park on the whole, the entire park location is 1.6 acres or a 70,000 square foot site. The current playground footprint is 3,000 square feet. You can see really the four options that we have for the new playground and what their corresponding footprints would be. Concept A, again, the sky version with the friendship swing would be a 23% expansion of footprint, a 700 square foot expansion. Concept A without the friendship swing, so no expanded swing set, would be a 3,155 square foot playground, which would be a 5% expansion or 155 square foot. Concept B, the woodland, which again was the significantly preferred design option with the friendship swing, would be a 10% expansion or 313 square feet. And concept B without the friendship swing would be a 65 square foot expansion of 2%. So just to understand what the current footprint is relative to the larger site and what our options would result in new footprint. Another comment that was a theme was tree removal, so concern about tree removals as part of this project. So there will have to be 8 to 10 trees removed for whichever footprint concept is chosen. The reality is that there's trees that exist within the current playground footprint or playground use zones, and that's non-compliant. So basically the way it works is that every playground structure has a use zone, so it's a predetermined distance from the structure that needs to be free and clear of any objects with impact attenuating surfacing. That is not the case currently at Milton. So these trees that need to be removed regardless of the playground option that's chosen. It's really for a couple reasons. It's safety. So having trees within those use zones presents dangers for users of the park to run into the trees or jumping off a swing, flying into the trees. Additionally, trees within a playground footprint have root systems. And if those root systems are shallow or low lying, that alters the impact attenuation of the surfacing. So if you're meant to have 12 inches of engineered wood fiber or mulch and you have roots that are only 4 or 5 inches deep in an area of a fall zone, now that attenuation is diminished because of a root system. So really what that comes down to is you would not see new playground designs including trees within that footprint, certainly around a playground, but not within the curbing of a playground design. Upland design took the design options and configured them to minimize the tree impact, but the reality is that any structures that go back in here will require those 8 to 10 trees to be removed. And as you can see, the playground structures that were presented do not have without the expansion of the swing set, do not have significant footprint expansions, but regardless of those 4 options, the same number of trees would need to be removed. And we would replace the trees that are removed as part of our annual planting plan, both at Milton Park and throughout the rest of our park system. Related to the surfacing, so there were some comments about what surfacing was preferred at this site. This pro and con list was provided to the board as part of the board memo. So really just kind of a side-by-side. Engineered wood fibers is mulch, so it's playground wood chips that have been certified for providing the proper cushioning. So different from just mulch you'd buy off the rack at Home Depot or something like that. So comparing that to the artificial turf option, really starting with cost. So engineered wood fibers will have a lower upfront cost. Artificial turf will have a significantly higher upfront cost. For this particular project, the upfront cost of artificial turf would be between $63,000 and $71,000. Compared to engineered wood fibers at a cost of $5,000 to $10,000. So a significant difference in upfront cost. On a maintenance standpoint, so engineered wood fibers requires ongoing maintenance. It's going to be raking out low spots, topping off low-lying areas, leveling and replenishment. Artificial turf is really low maintenance, occasional brushing and clearing of debris. The lifespan, engineered wood fibers, every 1 to 2 years for this playground, probably more in the 2 to 3 year. You would have to top off at a cost of about $1,000 to $2,000. Artificial turf, barring any vandalism or damage, should be pretty hands-off for its life of 12 plus years. Shock absorption, both are good. Engineered wood fibers, when properly maintained. Artificial turf is good with the padding. Accessibility, both are technically accessible. Artificial turf is consistently compliant. Engineered wood fibers are compliant, but not ideal for ADA, if you can imagine a wheelchair trying to navigate wood chips versus a more hard surface. Aesthetics, personal choice, natural rustic look with mulch. Artificial turf, you have that clean green manicured look. Weather impact, with mulch, you'll have chances of things getting muddy, displaced, or compacted. The artificial turf will drain well, and the one downside could be getting hot in direct sun. Eco-friendliness, engineered wood fibers are biodegradable and renewable. Artificial turf is not. Engineered wood fibers can attract insects and rodents. Artificial turf is generally not appealing to pests. Cleanliness, mulch, if not well maintained, can get messy, can stick to clothes and shoes. Artificial turf is generally cleaner. Safety concerns, with mulch, it's not keeping up with the displacement and creating hard spots. Again, taken away from that impact attenuation. Artificial turf, there's concerns over PFAs in artificial turfs and links to potential health issues. The products we have spec'd previously do not use PFAs in their manufacturing processes, and we're not using rubber infill for this project, but there can be trace or residual PFAs found in these projects, much like other products within your home or out in the park systems. Those levels that are found are lower than things found in common household items. So we did receive several comments regarding that, mostly in favor of going engineered wood fiber in lieu of the artificial, mainly due to aesthetics and the idea of it blending in well with the natural surrounding area. We had talked about kind of the maintenance impact. Staff does not see any, if the board wants to go with engineered wood fibers, staff does not have any major concerns about maintenance, just given the relatively small size of this park. Different conversation when we're talking about our much larger, much heavier used playgrounds. And just on that note, one last little information about the goat we previously discussed. So we did look into a goat climber, just a little more information about what it would look like, its size and cost. So it's pretty substantial in size, 5 foot long by 4 foot tall. So roughly, the height of a little taller than these tables and a little bit wider. The cost is $18,000. That's driven by it being a custom piece. And if we wanted to go forward with that, it could replace the spinner. We would have to choose one or the other, but basically could swap out for that element. There was a couple comments regarding this and an interest in kind of paying homage to the goat. So with that, just kind of wanted to bring all that information together and really, again, what we're looking for from the board tonight is if there's a concept that the board is in favor of moving forward with, choosing that concept with the desired number of swings, friendship or no friendship, and then what surfacing they would like to do. The surfacing component is not critical. We can continue forward all the way up until bidding and make a determination then, but if the board has a strong opinion one way or the other, we can make that known tonight. So. With that, I can take any questions, or if we're opening it up.
I'd like to move ahead to matters from public comment first, and then we'll have a board discussion. So just to remind our members here, when we do the matters for the public, it's our practice not to address questions during the comments, but we will take any comments under consideration during our board discussion. And then we limit any comments to 3 minutes per person. So if anyone would like to come up to the podium and make any comments to the board, welcome.
Hi, I'm Jesse Goldman. I live on Grove, just down the street from this park. And actually, most of my questions were answered by the presentation. So I think I'll start by saying thank you for such a detailed review. I've talked to a lot of the neighbors around the street, and I'm not sure most of us really understand how much thought goes into this. Like, we saw the survey and we submitted. So, to the extent that maybe this gets shared or something like that, this I think could go a long way just in helping people understand how much goes into the park. Couple quick comments. It was really exciting to see the woodland design stand out in terms of the survey responses. I know there's a lot of interest in that one, including from my kids. And the other, I guess, point that was encouraging was to see that trees would be replanted. Because I know there was some concern about cutting down trees. There's some really nice old trees there. And to the extent that some of those get replanted around Milton or, other areas nearby, I think that would go a long way as well. So anyway, thanks very much for all the thought that's gone into this.
And thank you for attending our meeting. I'm glad this is positive.
Came all the way from downtown through the traffic, and glad to see this was later in the agenda.
A lot of work goes in, and I would encourage you, if you're ever interested to see it, all of our things are public. All of the work, all of these decks, all this is out there on the transparency portal that I think Lisa's done a phenomenal job at making available. I know we're all busy, so it's hard to see it. Every one of the parks, every one of the maintenance facilities, all the decisions have an in-depth amount of review, and we take them all pretty seriously. So
Oh, well, good to know.
come on down anytime you're interested.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other comments? Okay, just with that, I think I wanted to just follow up on something. I think, Kyle, when we talked about the trees during our last meeting, if I understand correctly, these are not heritage oaks or anything that we're removing. It would be, so it's in terms of
Correct.
tree losses.
Yeah, there's no 100-year-old oaks we're removing as part of this. I think the largest diameter is 15 inches, which approximately be like a 30-year-old oak. But it's in a heavily wooded area, and some of these trees are directly adjacent to other smaller trees, and they're going to outcompete each other. So it's really, we're not removing any 100-year-old oaks, but the trees really shouldn't have been there and have to be removed as part of any future project. So yeah. Does that answer the question? Or
All right. Any comments or questions from the board to get us started?
I'm trying to remember which one I like the most, but I feel like and I'm looking to the minutes from last time. I feel like I felt like the treehouse, so I feel like I'm with 75%. I mean, it sounds like the public has spoken. And we've had, like, I remember last time we were talking about, oh my gosh, we've got two incredible choices. So either one I think is good. I think once we have kind of gone a certain way, whether it's the treehouse or the skytop, I'm going to leave every other decision either to you guys or to you as the experts, except for the goat. I will comment on the goat. But in terms of like the ground surface and things like that, like this is where I think the park shines, where I think you've done a really good job, Lisa, at building a level of expertise. Because I can't tell you if we should put mulch there or artificial turf or this or that. I want you guys to make that decision. But the goat I will comment on. I think Stephanie and I probably seem very similar on that. But I think it's great that either communities had a chance to get feedback, and it sounds like, at least from my perspective, a direction.
You make your goat comment? I mean, this is the time.
Oh, my goat comment is, I think we're investing a lot in this park, and I'm really excited that we kind of came to that decision that no longer do we have to call it, oh, poor Milton. It's going to be a great park. I do think, $18,000 is a lot of money. I think it's probably, if we could find somebody out there that wants to donate it, or if the neighbors want to kind of raise money to put it in there in the next 6 months as we're thinking about this, I'm not opposed to the goat, but I just don't think it's the right way to spend $20,000 of the taxpayers' dollars right now.
I agree.
That's my thought.
Don't disagree.
Stephanie, you're smiling.
I actually agree. So I do think there could be a donor out there. I get approached so much about the goat. I mean, of my 8 years on the board, that's the most comments I've received.
I feel like we're in Severance. When I was watching Severance and they brought the goats, I felt like I was
You were there.
there.
Well, so I think we should creatively market that like we've done other things, but I don't think it's out of question that someone might want to do that. So I do think we should try, and I love the idea. I'd love to have it there, but I agree it's a pocket park. We should remain. I really like B1 because I want to have the footprint remain as is, because we've had many conversations about that and we've had people discuss that. I don't think I know you love the friendship swing, so but I do think that could go in a bigger park like Friends where, it's a bigger budget and a bigger neighborhood and footprint. So that's my vote there. As far as the surfacing, it surprises me because, not having wood chips is such an upgrade. And when we don't have it, people seem excited about it. So it surprises me here. I don't have a preference either way. I think, like you said, it's a smaller footprint, so the maintenance on it isn't that much for our staff. It just surprises me. The only thing is we do have some water there and we've had complaints that we got in feedback about dog waste. So because of that, I personally think the other surface is better, but I could go either way. And like you said, if we want to wait on that, have more discussion, either
think
way.
There's going to be drainage improvements either route we go. I believe Michelle touched on it at the previous meeting that whether it's artificial turf or mulch below that layer is going to be, I think, 12 to 18 inches of CA6 with no fines, which allows water to pass through and drain out. I don't know exactly how this was constructed 25 years ago, but I'm guessing there's not good drainage underneath it. So that would be an improvement made as part of this either way from the drainage standpoint.
Jordan, did you have additional comments?
I mean, I would always lean towards the turf. I'm not a fan of mulch personally, but again, I could go either way, and that doesn't really matter to me as much. I agree. I don't want to change the footprint. I think B1 is perfect. Keep the footprint. I agree with the friendship swing can go to a different park. Friends has a footprint that you could probably find to put it in there eventually down the road. So I would heavily go for B1, and I lean more to turf, but again, I hate mulch personally. It's just me.
I think I'm the only one here who feels really strongly against turf. I don't like adding synthetic covering that large in a natural area. I think it doesn't fit the whole nature inspired playground. I personally think that it kind of clashes aesthetically, but also just kind of the non-biodegradable structure and just that this is a nature themed park, woods, we went in goats to be environmentally friendly. And then if we add like a plastic surface, to me, it's kind of, it just to me is the wrong surface for that park, and we would save significantly financially for the time being if we don't go with it, and it sounds like it's maintainable. I also agree. I think the goat is too significant of an investment. I don't know that we're going to be bringing back goats for the lifetime of this park. So after a while, yes, but they're not going to bring them in every year for the next 20. So I feel like, at least I don't think we are we? Like 5 years from now, that goat's going to be meaningless to the kids coming into the park. And that's a pretty significant investment for something that I don't know, cohort of kids will be moving on to purchase it for. I mean, I guess it's, if people want to donate it, that's fine, but I don't think it's a good use of our finances, especially since, we're doing a lot of construction projects that could go over budget. So I think to the extent we can save here, both by going in the mulch route and the spinner, that's positive. I can be convinced to keep the footprint, just given that there's sensitivity to the footprint. I think the friendship swing would be a big hit, but I also think this park will be enjoyed with or without it. So that's one area where if I can come to consensus with the board. So I guess kind of based on this discussion, it sounds like we're okay with concept B1.
Yep.
And I think we need to move ahead with that tonight. Do we want to defer the turf and mulch to another conversation or vote on that tonight?
How long can we defer that? I just want to just be realistic when we go out to bid.
I mean, realistically, we could wait until we go out to bid. So that would be probably May or June. So I'd say it'd be best to have a decision in May.
It'd have to be
Can
May.
we attempt it tonight for like 2 minutes?
Do we have consensus?
Like,
Or like
I-
If I could,
Can I?
Most of the
Sorry,
time-
can I
really
just ask
quick.
a quick question, Lisa? Like, do you guys have a preference?
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
on this particular one, if we're talking Friends Park, I would really be fighting for some kind of artificial
Right.
turf or port in place. Turf is more manageable for our staff. I would really be fighting for that. With this application, given the nature theme, given the little pathway, we're already taking kids into the woods with that little igloo, what we
Willow
call it?
hut.
Willow hut,
Willow
thank you. With the willow hut. So they're going already into the woods and they're going to get dirty in the woods too. When I brought it to the incoming commissioners, someone made a really good point. It's like, I want my kid to get dirty. And I was like, I like that. So I think I like the variety of different playgrounds for different needs for different people. So Shelton has wood chips. That, I think, and this one, those would be the last two. Does Woodlawn?
Woodlawn does have wood chips. Yeah.
Wood
Yes, Woodlawn
So those
definitely
are
has
the
wood chips.
three,
Astor.
Esther does too. So we have a history of doing smaller neighborhood parks with wood chips that are, I guess, maintainable. This one is, it's right there. They can go in there and they can rake it out. If you did bigger ones, we're probably going to move away from even when we redo some of those bigger parks. But for this one, the fall zones, it's just as safe as Esther, the way we're going to build it. There may be, after rain events, it will be messy. Let's be honest, compared to the AstroTurf. So that is the downside, but we both, Kyle and I have talked about this in length, and we have no preference. We would be saving money for wood chips in this one, and I know that was a concern about putting this in its like. So we have no problem doing wood chips in this park. It may serve it very well. So
The only issue I have is that all the pictures we've shown, we haven't discussed wood chips until tonight.
what do we?
I think we discussed it briefly at the last meeting. It was mentioned, but you're correct. It wasn't shown in any renderings or any of the concept.
That's right.
But on the other side, I mean, everyone sees the current park with wood chips. So I mean, well, yeah, you're not seeing the new equipment with wood chips. I mean, the imagery of wood chips in that space is anyone who uses the park, it's there. It's not hard to imagine, I feel like, at this point. I mean, again, if you're gonna have the drainage improvements, that does help in terms of kind of the grossness, I guess, of wood chips post rain. I mean, and I understand the woodsy aspect of it. So again, I traditionally don't like wood chips just because I just hate them, but I have no problem with them in a park, and I don't have a problem with my kids playing, in a park with them. So I'm good given the aesthetic of this current park and how it is more outdoorsy. So I mean, I'm good either way on this.
I will also recommend for the goat, put the goat as an alternate. And so that gives us some time to get words out like, hey, we could do this goat if we found a donor for X, Y, and Z. So it would be alternate. And if we don't find a donor by whenever we are accepting bids, then that gets thrown out and we go with the spinner.
Michael?
You didn't need to convince me of much. I would have gone either way. As I said before, I trust you guys. I know you've done a lot of work on this, so I am fine with wood chips as well.
I like the fiber better, but I also said I'd go,
Yeah.
It just does bother me when we show renderings that aren't the same. So I
Noted.
don't love that.
That's a good point. Remember that in the future to show both sides of it. Yeah.
All right. And then I know, Lisa, we had chatted about the friendship swing and just discussing that. I think, Friends Park is the next park that we're going to be
We are.
doing,
Mhm.
just in terms of
A beach
whether or
playground.
not.
Oh,
there's
and the
space-
beach.
And the beach.
Oh,
and the
either
beach.
one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's space, I guess the beach has a lot more space than
Yeah.
any park. I do think it's a neat feature. I think it's a fun swing. There's one in Kenilworth. It was a highlight. Like, oh, we don't have a swing like this in Glencoe.
And we don't yet.
So if we can put it somewhere, I think that's
Okay. Well,
that's fine. I just want to make sure that I don't know, we're not just throwing it out there that could be in another park, and realistically it's not couldn't be.
make sure.
think
Yeah,
we'll-
no, I think we have two locations, especially the beach. I think that probably.
We'll be having those kickoff meetings and community input meetings regarding the beach here before long. And then Friends is slated for design discussion next year. So I think that's just something for us to
Absolutely.
mind.
Yeah, we have a version of the friendship swing, but it has a baby bucket and the regular one. So this would be a new amenity. So I think I would absolutely recommend putting it in one of those two parks.
All right. Well, I think we have enough to go on. So I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the playground concept. I think is it B1? Is that the no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
B1.
B1. For the final design of Milton with the, was it EVF,
EWF,
EWF? Thank you.
wood chips is fine.
Surfacing as presented.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Boren,
yes.
Commissioner Kobe,
Yes.
Commissioner Spector,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Great discussion.
Okay. Do we have any presentation or additional information to be presented before we go over the park
Just
maintenance
A
building?
very little thing.
Okay.
So on the maintenance building, this footprint, everybody agreed that they liked the footprint, the layout. We're looking at, the size, the massing, Commissioner Colby brought up the concern about what if we need more storage, right? So we went back and so in this design, we divided that batting cage because we only promised one batting cage. So we put the batting cage on one side and then we're going to divide it with a wall and put storage on the other side. So that'll give us more. If someday there's a outcry of more batting cage need, we could always convert that to batting cage or vice versa. So we thought that was a great solution going into it. And we still have a little vestibule area. So if there's a batter in there, there's still room for another batter waiting on deck to go in. So that was a great idea and solution. Other than
Yeah.
that, Kyle, is there anything else?
Yeah, so that really, I think the action we're looking for tonight is if the board still is in agreement that the overall footprint, so the exterior layout of the building, the height and the general appearance is agreeable, that we can then move forward with getting firm pricing on what that structure actually costs. And then get that ordered as a long lead item that allows us to line up construction for September of this year. So if the board's in agreement, then we could take the next step to then getting pricing and working towards that GMP contract and getting things rolling.
Yeah, we want to roll this out as soon as possible because this is one area that we're really concerned with tariffs.
Tariffs,
and,
yep.
Lack of supply. So the sooner as we get this, if we prove this and we can get it bid and we can get it out there and hopefully nothing delays us because that is our fear right
Yeah,
now.
and it's ordering it now allows us to then start that site work. So the groundwork, utilities, foundation, and then all that's in theory in place when the building arrives in the fall. So it's kind of that we're getting work done during that lead time period.
Yeah, I appreciate you all making the effort. I know, Lisa, you and I chatted. There's probably 10 to 15% more usable space than the
Yeah.
sum of
Thank you.
the parts. And so I think this is a good win. I like that we're focusing in on what we need. And so I appreciate you all going back to the drawing board, literally drawing board.
That's a good point. The square footage, what increases by
We went
3,000?
13,000 to 15,000, but the part that's not captured in that is the mezzanine storage and the height that we get in some portions of this building. So it's a 2,000 square foot expansion, but then we have additional storage that's not accounted for in a building footprint in the mezzanine area. So it's more than that without having a larger footprint.
And then not to mention consolidating is just more.
Yes, oh yeah,
efficient.
more efficient storage, yes.
Does anybody have any questions before we move forward? Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the building footprint, building height, and massing for the Park District Maintenance Building as presented.
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Boren,
yes.
Commissioner Colby,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder. Oops, he's not here. Sorry, I didn't X through there. Commissioner Spector,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
Nice. Good
This is
job, guys.
something that I really wanted for our maintenance and parks team for a long time. So really proud of this one. And as you should all be proud of this one too.
Yeah, it's an embarrassing
Yeah.
workspace.
Honestly, it's the safety that gets me.
Yep.
You know, looking at it a few years ago, we have to,
Yeah.
that's our first priority. everywhere. So
There was like a mini electric fire in there when we toured.
Huh.
So like,
Was.
yeah,
Yes.
I
Really
think we're
proud of
due.
Yes.
Lisa, do we have any other business?
We do not.
Okay, we don't have any reason to enter into closed session, so
Not.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Next meeting, guys.
8:05.